She cheated on her husband, and now she regrets it. She never imagined that her choices would lead her to a place she couldn't return from. Her name was Aisha. She had married Samuel 7 years ago, believing he was the man who would make her life simple, safe, and comfortable. He was kind, steady, dependable, a man everyone admired for his loyalty and honesty. But kindness had a way of becoming invisible, and Aisha had grown blind to it. She wanted fire, excitement, attention, someone who made her heart race. And when Samuel didn't give her that, she began to look elsewhere. At work, there was Emmanuel. He was different from anyone she had met. Charming, confident, always with the perfect joke or the right word at the right moment. He noticed her in ways Samuel had stopped noticing. He complimented her, listened to her, laughed with her, made her feel seen. What started as casual conversations and friendly gestures became lingering looks, stolen moments, subtle touches, and a magnetic pull she couldn't explain. Every laugh shared with Emmanuel felt like a rebellion against her own life. She told herself she was just enjoying company, just having fun, but deep down, she knew she was crossing lines she couldn't take back. Samuel had been silent about everything. He didn't nag, didn't scold, didn't make a fuss when Aisha became distant. He trusted her, loved her quietly, and continued building the life he promised. He had dreams that Aisha didn't yet understand, a vision that required patience and secrecy. But in her impatience, Aisha saw only the absence of immediate attention. She felt neglected, unappreciated, and unloved. She had allowed herself to believe that desire could replace loyalty, and excitement could replace the steady heartbeat of love she had once promised. Herself she would cherish. It all came to a head one night after a long week at work. They had been assigned a critical project with tight deadlines, forcing them to stay late in the office. The fluorescent lights glared down on her and Emmanuel as they worked side by side. He cracked a joke, and she laughed louder than usual. He leaned closer to explain something, and their hands brushed. A spark she had been denying for months finally ignited. She told herself it didn't mean anything, that she was simply exhausted, that the thrill of being noticed was harmless. But her mind and body knew the truth. She had already started down a path from which she could never return. When the night ended, Emmanuel walked her to her car. Their conversation had turned personal. He asked about her dreams, her frustrations, her fears. She had never shared these things with Samuel, believing that he didn't care or would not understand. Emmanuel listened. He nodded. He empathized. He complimented. He made her feel alive in ways Samuel hadn't in years. She felt a rush of warmth and connection, the kind of attention she craved. That night, she made a choice she didn't yet fully understand. She had crossed a line, and the consequences had not yet caught up to her. Returning home, Aisha walked quietly through the front door. Samuel was asleep on the couch, exhausted from his own day, unaware of the storm brewing under the roof he had built. She looked at him and felt a pang of guilt that she couldn't name. She whispered to herself that nothing had happened, that it was just a fleeting mistake. But her heart knew otherwise. She had changed. Something inside her had shifted, and the life she thought she had was no longer enough. Over the next days, Aisha's behavior became increasingly distant. She smiled less at home, laughed less at Samuel's jokes, and answered messages from Emmanuel more quickly than she did her husband. Samuel noticed, but he interpreted her distance as stress, exhaustion, or preoccupation with work. He didn't suspect betrayal. He continued his life quietly, working on the projects and visions he had promised himself and his family. He never suspected how deep the cracks in their marriage had grown, and Aisha never admitted how far she had strayed. One evening, Samuel returned home early with an unexpected energy in his step. Aisha was in the kitchen, sipping tea, her mind racing. She felt a wave of anxiety, an unease she couldn't explain. Samuel had something in his hand, papers, envelopes, documents. He placed them on the counter, smiling gently. "I wanted to surprise you," he said. She looked at him blankly, unsure what he meant. He handed her the documents, and as she read, disbelief washed over her. The business he had quietly nurtured for years had exploded in success. Investments, contracts, profits, unimaginable wealth had quietly arrived at their doorstep. Samuel had been building an empire in silence, While she had been chasing momentary excitement, Aisha froze. Her mind spun, not from the money, not from the success, but from the realization that Samuel had been underestimated, misunderstood, and disrespected. He had loved her quietly, worked tirelessly, and protected their future while she had sought thrill elsewhere. Every choice she had made now pressed on her conscience. She had cheated, lied, and disrespected the very man who had become untouchable in ways she never imagined. As days passed, Aisha confronted herself. She reflected on the choices she had made, the lies she had told, the moments she had taken for granted. Samuel remained composed, calm, and unwavering. He did not berate her. He did not explode, but he allowed her to face her own guilt, forcing her to confront the reality of her actions. But then, just when she thought she could breathe, Samuel received a mysterious phone call. His face changed in a way she had never seen before: disbelief, tension, and a hint of danger. He hung up, turned to her, and said quietly, "You have no idea what's coming next, and it's bigger than either of us imagined." Aisha's heart raced. She realized instantly that her choices had only scratched the surface of consequences, and that Samuel was hiding something powerful, something that could change everything: her marriage, her life, and everything she thought she understood about him. The door closed behind him as he left for that mysterious meeting, leaving Aisha alone with her fear, curiosity, and a deep sense of foreboding. What had she unleashed, and could she ever survive it? The story does not end here. This is only the beginning, and the questions linger. What is Samuel hiding? What will happen to Aisha? Will she be able to face the consequences of her choices? The answers will come in part 2.